Hey everybody, it's Luke over at Galaxy Tech Review, and today I've got a product from Nuu Mobile. This is the N10. This is their entry-level smartphone. It's running on Android 14. It has a 6.6-inch 90 hertz display, which we usually don't see on these entry-level phones. We're going to check it out today, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is how it comes boxed up. I do want to show you the unboxing here. Pretty slim package, but you do get a lot of extras that, again, you don't really see on an entry-level smartphone and even flagship type smartphones. I have the white version here, and here is the N10. It's got a zinc alloy aluminum frame and kind of a matte textured back on it that we'll get into in just a few moments. We also get a couple other extras in here that you don't normally see nowadays. We do get a charger in the box. This is going to be a two-prong AC charger to USB for charging up the device. A lot of manufacturers do not do that anymore. This is a 10-watt charger. It's not insanely fast, but it is included in the package. Also is the charge cable, which is a standard USB Type-A to USB Type-C connection for the phone. We do get also a SIM removal tool here, and we'll get into that in just a second. We do also get some stickers from Nuu, and we actually get a case for the phone in the box, which is again something that you don't normally see. So it's nice that they're throwing all these extras in there. You get a couple new stickers there, so if you're a fan of stickers, you'll get that as well. And a getting started guide for the N10, which has some useful information like your port assignments. Now this does have dual speakers. You do get a headset jack or a headphone jack, again something that we normally don't see. And you do have either dual SIM or a standard SIM and a micro SD card expansion. Again, something that we normally don't see. So even their entry level setup here has a lot of little extras to it that you don't normally see. It's again nice to see that they throw in kind of this smoky case here just so that you have one right out of the box. You don't have to go and find one. And here is the device. Looking pretty nice. 6.6 inch IPS display that can run at 90 hertz, 1612 by 720 resolution, a 5,000 milliamp battery, 4 gigabytes of RAM that can be extended to 8 gigabytes with extendable RAM, 128 gigs of storage with a micro SD card slot to add more storage. You do have a Wi-Fi all the way up to AC, so you're looking at 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, GPS, USB Type-C, and the two cameras on the back are going to be a 13 megapixel autofocus with a 2 megapixel macro, and the front camera is going to be a 5 megapixel camera. This has a T606 Unisoc processor, and you do have this running on Android 14. So taking a closer look here at the actual phone in action, it has its own screen protector from the factory on it. You can remove that if you would like. I do like the zinc alloy on the sides, and I also like the fingerprint reader being integrated right into the power button. That's nice. No problems there. It's responsive, and I didn't have any problems with it. If we take a look at this, this is basically Android 14 pretty much all the way. Let's take a look at some of the settings here that we have. Again, you're going to have all of your normal settings here. It is running Android 14. We'll show you that. You do have Bluetooth, and it's learning my battery here. Storage, I have about 110 gigabytes free, and I've installed just a few things. So we do have that. Now if we go under display here, this is another perk that we're going to take a look at here, and I'm going to make this 10 minutes so that it doesn't keep timing out while I'm going over everything. But you can turn your dark theme off here, do all your normal things. If we go down to screen refresh rate, this would be an interesting portion to take a look at. This actually does support 90 hertz, which with an entry-level phone, you don't really see that. Now you can leave it on auto and it will try to select the best, or you can run it at 90 hertz non-stop all the time if you want. It will consume a little bit more battery life, but you do have that auto mode if you want it to go back and forth. And you can see that it's super responsive. Even with 4 gigabytes of RAM, you are having no problems here with it being responsive. So that works out really, really nicely. The screen is for an LCD type IPS display. Is very, very nice. Now you do have 4 gigs of RAM, but you can extend that to 8 gigabytes of RAM with kind of a RAM boost there, taking up some of your storage to use. It is updated to Android 14, and I did check. We are a little bit behind on the security updates at August 5th, but other than that, you're up to date on the latest version of Android, so that's excellent as well. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with how snappy, especially at 90 hertz, this is. It's nice and fluid, no real slowdowns or anything like that. The screen is just very, very nice here, although it could be a little bit brighter for outdoor use. The screen itself is very, very nice. Now, for gaming, this is going to be great. You get great colors on this, no problems whatsoever for this. I'm just going to play a little bit of Subway Surfers here. You can play other games, like PUBG or something like that. It will handle those games. You'll just have to wait a little bit longer for them to load and things like that. It's not that it can't handle them. It's just easier to do something like Subway Surfers. So let's have a listen at how the dual speakers sound and how this game plays out. So you can see that we did have no problems playing games on this. Lighter games like this will load very quickly and be able to be played no problem. We definitely have stereo separation with the top and bottom speakers, so you do get that stereo effect. Good for watching movies and of course playing games. Just note that if you're going to try heavier games on this, just temper your expectations that this is an entry-level Android phone and it may take longer to load those games, and they should still be playable, but you may have load time issues and things like that to consider. Now this is YouTube and no problems watching videos on YouTube or other streaming services as well. A grayish blue color here, triple camera setup as you can see on the back. You do get a two-prong AC to USB Type-C 30-watt power adapter. You can charge this up to. And you can see that the color representations on this 6.6-inch HD Plus screen, although it kind of taps out at 720p, do look really good. This is on Netflix, and I don't have any issues with this image at all. Good color representation, nice and clear, and ready for you to binge watch if you would like to on your phone. So again, just another example of how nice this 90 hertz LCD IPS display is. So let's talk network speeds. This is a 4G phone. This is not a 5G enabled phone. So we're going to turn off our Wi-Fi. I'm connected with a SIM to T-Mobile at the moment, connected connected to 4G LTE, of course. So let's run a speed test and see what we get. Now, everybody's going to be different on what their 4G speeds are going to be like in their area, but I'm looking around a little over 50 to 55, 56 megabits per second download speeds. And of course, the upload speeds are a little weaker there at 21, 22 megabits per second upload speeds, and that's on 4G LTE T-Mobile here in my area. So that's what you can expect. The modem in this is gonna cap out at 4G LTE, so you're going to get those older speeds. Now if we switch this over to Wi-Fi, you're going to see that the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi here is incredibly faster than the LTE speeds. I have a 1 gigabit connection here on my Wi-Fi, and we'll retest again, and you'll see that they'll jump up a considerable amount. Now, I do have a 1 gigabit connection, but I'm getting over a quarter of that with 230 to 240 download and just about the same 225 to 228 on the upload speeds. So that's what you're looking at networking with the N10. Okay, so let's take a look at cameras here. Again, we've got a 13 megapixel main shooter on the back, 5 megapixel on the front, and the back caps out at 1080p at 30 frames per second for video. But how does this actually translate? Well, I'm going to show you some samples here. We're going to take a quick picture and we'll put them up on the screen so that you guys can check these out. Okay, so this is the first picture. It's from the 13 megapixel rear shooter, and it's under good lighting. And you can see it's nice and crisp and clear and good colors, and it does well when you have good lighting. Lighting is the main factor here, because as we transition to this next picture, this is taken outdoors and it's under a direct sunlight. You can see that we get some of those sun rays in there and maybe a little lens flare, and it adds a little graininess to that 13 megapixel main sensor. If we go underneath something, you can see that we get our detail back and everything looks nice and crisp and clear. So overall, the 13 megapixel shooter is not bad. Now the 5 megapixel front shooter is not that great. I would use it for maybe video calls or things like that, but selfies on this are not that impressive. They aren't terrible, but they're not something that I would go to all the time. Now we do have an interesting bug here in portrait mode that I do want to take a look at. No matter what aperture I select, it does not change the background, which usually gets blurred in portrait mode. Now I think Nuu Mobile is going to have to do an update for this, and I think that's probably going to come pretty quickly, but it is something to mention if you're going to be using portrait mode. We do have a pro mode in here, and this will allow you to do everything from your shutter speed, you know, your ISO, white balance, and so on. We do have video, of course, and capture. Capture is just going to be your regular mode, which I just showed you, and then video. And what we have here is the rear 13 megapixel shooter is going to cap out at 1080p at 30 frames a second. So you do have that, and the front one is going to be at 720p. So let's take a sample here and check it out. Okay, so here we have the video, and this is from the rear camera. 1080p is what it maxes out at. So you can see kind of what the quality of the microphones are and the quality of the camera as I've kind of moved it around a little bit. There is no optical image stabilization here, so that is something to keep in mind when you are using subjects or videoing subjects like this that are stationary. It shouldn't be too bad, but with moving subjects, you may get a little bit more shakiness than you're used to. But again, this is the budget range Android phone here, and this is what the rear camera looks like for video at 1080p. There is some shakiness to it without that image stabilization. You do have slow motion, time-lapse, audio note, QR codes, macro camera here, and what I don't like about the macro camera is it's only 2 megapixels, and it seems to overexpose everything, so I don't know how useful this would be, to be honest. Again, I think Nuu Mobile will definitely put out an update for a couple of these modes that we have. So other than that, that is our camera overview of the N10. Okay, so that is my review of the Nuu Mobile N10 entry-level Android 14 smartphone. There are a few things that I really like about this, and then there are a couple things that need to be worked on. The first thing is the screen. The screen, a 6.6-inch screen, IPS LCD at 90 hertz for an entry-level price is a nice deal. It also has a headphone jack for all you people that are still holding on to wired headphones, which is really nice, and it has a very large battery at 5,000 milliamps. This also has a slot for a micro SD card for expandable storage. It also has dual speakers, which give you a nice sound and give you that stereo separation. And of course, it's running on the latest version of Android, which is Android 14. Now, the things that do need to be worked on, I think, from Nuu Mobile's side is and have to do with the camera module. The portrait mode not reacting the way it should, and certain lighting conditions overexposing images that probably will be addressed by Nuu Mobile, or I hope they will, with a software update. So if you're looking for a basic smartphone that's going to have a nice screen with a higher refresh rate than normal, that has a nice color reproduction, stereo speakers, a large battery, and can hold on the trade-offs of not having things like NFC or wireless charging, then you may want to check out the N10 from Nuu Mobile. This was Luke from Galaxy Tech Review. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I'll check you guys out on the next one.